Namah Shri Soha. Om Namo Manju Shri. Namah Shri. Om Namah Shri Soha. Om Namo Manju Shri. Namah Shri. Namo Namah Shri Soha. 哇，今非最难是非常难来，想住满多那些教授些，大给全年给别上给，各大本节上给住嘛住，学到这给就难来，想住满多那些教授些，大给全年给别做那些，节上给住嘛住。学到这个就拿来，讲究完都能给个数据，当地居民给别做那个，这样当地就包我就。啊，些不仅这些没多少，日常那些你的地方的，相对许多面对我也就。当那些老师嘛，就一张不让他们那上，那他要我们。What has been it up to the children of the spiritual children, Mama Shimaji was a job. They wanted that the water from him. She couldn't do not get a tumor. They were teach, they were taught, she couldn't see the problem of achieving so. Please adjust your sitting posture according to 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers for numberless times. They are as kind as my mothers in this life. Even though all kind mothers and sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering. However, due to engaging wrongly in objects of adoption and abandonment, they do not experience even a moment of happiness, but suffering. In my mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mothers and sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mothers and sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mothers and sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Hence, we generate compassion towards all suffering mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings were free from the class disburdened with accomplishing virtue, such as physical pain, sickness, problem caused by 4 elements. May the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from the class disburdened with accomplishing virtue. May they be free, I will free their bodies from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mothers and sentient beings, free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as mental suffering, fear, anxiety, and coarse and subtle discursive thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I'll free the minds of all suffering mothers and sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mothers and sentient beings, free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as saying, telling lies, and coarse and subtle negative speech. May the speech of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Or free the speech of all suffering mothers and sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mothers and sentient beings, free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Or free the three doors of all suffering mothers and sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and causes of suffering with non-virtue. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Or free all sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all mothers and sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms.
I should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, I do not have the abilities to do so now. Who has the abilities? Those who have achieved the perfectly complete enlightenment, the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. Next, we cultivate all-encompassing yoga mind. The aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into a complete mundis at one's heart. Ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, the lack of inherent existence. That transformed into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
Next,
we meditate on emptiness for a short while. That I exist, neither intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically. As I always say, that it's very important to conjoin any virtue that we do through our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, the first practice is generosity. The nature of generosity is an intention of giving. These 2 hours of listening to Dharma, contemplation and meditation on Dharma, is to purify the sufferings of all sentient beings and to achieve their happiness.
What is this? What is the tradition also the notion? Yes, I was a chief because the development of chief about the module. You want me to do what's the two money. So was a children. That's again.
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on Dharma, I will abandon my physical and verbal negativities so that they do not manifest during these 2 hours. Next is patience. Patience is an undisturbed mind. So when I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on Dharma, I will be patiently accepting any physical or mental hardships. Next is joyous effort. Joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will take delight in the virtue of listening to, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma. Next is meditative concentration. Meditative concentration is a mind that single-pointedly focuses on any virtuous object. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on Dharma, I will focus my mind on these virtuous objects and do not get influenced by distractions or discursive thoughts. The last one is wisdom. Wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will unmistakenly and correctly understand the words and meanings of the teachings that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mothers sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this purpose, I'm going to listen to the excellent teaching, practice accordingly, in order to benefit sentient beings. So I'll continue. The outline number 7, presentations of grounds and paths. And so when we talk about Svatantika can be divided into two, right? Sautrantika Svatantika and Yogacara Svatantika. So now I'm going to first talk about Yogacara Svatantika. On the text, it says, the Yogacaras, Vanatika Madhyamikas proceed the differences between the persons of the three vehicles to be that they have three different obscurations as main objects to be abandoned and three different views as main objects of meditations. So the three vehicles refer to the vehicle of hearers, solitary realizers, and Mahayana. So, and three of them, they have three different objects of abandonment and objects of meditations or objects that should be cultivated. Holders of the hearer lineage, having taken the conception grasping a self-supporting or substantially assistant person, together with its retinue as their main objects of abandonment. So, in other words, hearers here refer to hearers trainee. It refers to hearer trainees. They do not refer to hearers arhat. So hearers trainee may take conceptions here can be also translated as conceptual consciousness or conceptual thoughts. Conceptual consciousness, grasping also can be translated as grasping. So conceptual consciousness, branding a self-supporting or substantially assistant person. Then another translation for this is self-sufficient, substantially assistant person. So together with its retinue, in other words, together with its accompanier, so as their main objects of abandonment. So hearers training refers to hearers, those hearers on the path of accumulation, preparation, path of seeing, and path of meditations. So those hearers on these four paths are hearers training. So their main objects of abandonment are conceptual consciousness, apprehending a self-sufficient, substantially assistant person together with its accompanier. And their main objects of achievement is hearer's enlightenment. Yeah, for them, their main object of attainment is hearer's attainment, hearer's enlightenment. In other words, hearer's arhatship or hearer's liberation.
回下做我们这新的是吧？我给往下做这个内部的这个，那搞到了这个自己的方法，我这东西做些，搞的，全球通过协作，但这个是全球通过协作啊。
对，and having taken on the text it says, and having taken as the antidote to that, the view realizing the emptiness of a self-supporting or substantially different person as their main objects of meditation, gains more enlightenment. So in order to abandon their main objects of abandonment, which is the conception grasping a self-supporting or substantially existent person, together with this pattern here. So the main antidotes to be cultivated is the view realizing the emptiness of a self-supporting or substantially assistant person, which is their main objects of meditation or their main objects of cultivation. And they attain more enlightenment. So they attain hearer's enlightenment or hearer's worship or hearer's liberation. So in this paragraph, it talks about three features: their main objects of abandonment, their main objects of meditation, and their main objects of achievement.
到底考虑了老师对，要忘记就是用它当给我们知道的，这样去往家做的，你也知道的，这是这个，那你我就嘛那么被修的，我就是这个地方，你那去往家做也就是，你我家做看啥个单面的是道的，就是有点是，我家做看啥个单面的是，现在的比如是吧，我在头家做的，也是，我都是是的。哇，我去，跟老板去，我去做的业务，做的业务，去的那个学会吧，听的那个那，我去，我想做的那天老板去，我想做的那天在红巴的是，这个我呢，那那天全部老板是那是在地方的，是吧？
你对几位老板？
那天全部老板哦，老板都是我，挺好，咱们肯定不到在地方的，是吧？我想做的这个单位，行，该知道。但是担心，你可能在接触的话，这那咱们常委的新闻，那以前的这个单位，行，该知道的。我跟你聊的还过去是吧？
Okay, so this is the explanations, and besides this, it is also common to say for Svatandika Madhyamika, when they assert the main objects of abandonment for the hearer's trainee, they are among the two obscurations, the native obscurations and obscurations of omniscience. For hearer's trainee, their main object of abandonment is afflictive obscurations. And their main objects of meditations or cultivations is the selflessness of person. And their main objects of attainment or achievement is the hearer's arhatship. And there are many other equivalent terms as well, like for example, hearer's arhatship, as I mentioned just now, hearer's enlightenment, hearer's liberation, and also hearer's path of no more learning. So these are equivalent terms.
我的，但你这个还不得是嘛？我理解是对的，都是熟悉的话，我家做起的，我家做起的，都家做起，我说的别说的。的比如说，你的电视干什么说，你等待那句我马上就不给信了。
And these explanations here is according to Yogacara Svatandika Madhyamika. So in this explanation, so we have to understand that in this paragraph itself, it talks about three main points. Their main objects of abandonment, their main objects of meditations, and their main objects of attainment.
那你这个东西当然是行家怎么学是吧？那行家语气上去，那老板呢，我给他学会说的话，那行家老板上去，现在是这个起码最近的这，我们方式多一些，方向做的，行家老板的方向做哪里来是？那是的是这种最近的这个这，那不把是吧？那是这种最近的。这个多把关系做些个例子，现在看到了，那时候嘛，这个是体制上好强的，体制参谋的，把影响的话，体制，那之前的体制上把它体制参谋影响的，啊， 강도 지금 지기도 주관 스파티 또 같이 지금 나와서 자 어디 나로 로바로지 완전서 하려서 지기 나와是的这么지기도 로바티 yes 뭐 맞아 뭐 어떻게 또 같이 되는 거
Holders of the solitary realizer lineage, and here again, solitary realizer refers to solitary realizer's trainee. So, having taken the conception, grasping that a form, and the valid cognizer grasping that form to be of other substances as their main objects of abandonment. So, in other words, here their main objects of abandonment is the conceptual consciousness, apprehending form, and the valid cognizer, apprehending that form as different substantial entity. Repeat. So, solitary realizers trainee, their main object of abandonment is the conceptual consciousness, apprehending that a form, and the valid cognizer apprehending that form would be of as different substantial entity. Valid cognizer apprehending that form as different substantial entity. So this is their main objects of abandonment. And when we talk about main objects of abandonment, then we relate it to obscurations, right? So the obscurations can be divided into cognitive obscurations and also obscurations to omniscience. And obscurations to omniscience can be further divided into two. There's coarse and subtle. And here, the conceptual consciousness apprehending that a form and the valid cognizer apprehending that form as different substantial entity is the coarse obscurations to omniscience.
我反正这老板就在一步是个东西，反正这老板现在在把它也不能打中，不的，这个是个基本啊，你们的行业我是你给你我是多了吧，我的，那这老板呢，你他看他行业做的，基本你就这个我跟你讲实话，那的，我多是吧，那的行业做你是不讲话，
So here, holders of the solitary realizers lineage refer to solitary realizers trainee, and these trainees refer to those solitary realizers who are on the top of accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation.
国家做的，国家的干事，国家做的，当然叫小众。我只给他搞定中国，你中国的中国啊，那你个小的跟他小的中国，当然叫小的了。那你我跟我小的小的中国的文化，小的呢，他真是把你小的中国的嘛，现在的文化，我的，特别是的，那老家去小的给他看到，那老家这个不办的，对吧？这个是这个了，是吧？这个小。我也不叫怎么的，上海的这样的话。
And their main objects of attainment is the solitary realizers path of no more learning. This is their main place of attainment. In other words, is solitary realizers enlightenment. So when we talk about enlightenment, enlightenment can be divided into three different levels: a small one, middling, and great. So the small one refers to hearers enlightenment, and the middling enlightenment refers to the solitary realizers enlightenment, and the great enlightenment refers to bodhisattvas enlightenment.
当然了，关键做的，不是做的是吧？啥的关键做的关键的，当然留下被你那个古巴你出来切多，因为出来切的搞光我是呢，的，你说这个这个里面这个爸爸是光的是吧？那别光把了，你年过哪里搞光的，但是吧，你光把了别年过哪搞光的是，但是的是这个这个也比光吧，这个光把这个大的不是东西，是吧？这个光把大不是东西，我听但不是。
Having taken, on the text it says, and having taken as the antidote to that, the view realizing the emptiness of apprehended subjects and apprehended objects being of other substances as their main objects of meditation, attain middling enlightenment. So in order to attain solitary realizers enlightenment, in order to abandon their main objects of abandonment, they need antidotes that they need to cultivate is the view realizing the emptiness of apprehended subjects and apprehended objects being of other substances. So this is their main objects of meditations. In other words, the view realizing the emptiness of subjects and objects as different substantial entity. I repeat, the view realizing the emptiness of subjects and objects as different substantial entity.
当然不这个情况，当然我想做的东西不让他去，我想做的是怎么自己的这个方法的，我去做这些，我想做的是怎么自己这个方法是吧？会到的，我这个到的我去做些，但也是在看的话，好方便。
So in relation to this particular paragraph, there are three key points that we need to keep in our mind is for Yogacharas Patantika Madhyamaka, solitary realizers trainees, their main objects of abandonment is the conceptual consciousness apprehending that form and the Vedic cognizer apprehending that form as different substantial entity. So this is their main object of abandonment. This is the first point. And the second point is their main objects of meditation, which is the view realizing the emptiness of subjects and objects as different substantial entity. And the third point is their main objects of attainment, which is solitary realizers enlightenment, solitary realizers of no more learning. Another way of saying this is middling enlightenment.
对吧？那我想这样简单，我想这样去，我想做刚才是电子化，电子化下这个我想做，我想这样去，我想做电子化这这个就也习惯了这个，对，我想就是什么呢？对吧？我想就是什么？但我是想这，情况关键是不要多拿吧，那这个也是对吧？就好，是这个对吧？但是对吧？理解他们我每个感觉大家知道吧？他们的评价是这个毕竟他们认为毕竟的看法，好了，各位是吧？我在的现在是国家做电子发展这个地方，那电子发展这个的，你去看的对，那等于去的台湾地区嘛，看吧，限制上或者那地方你把需要这个多把的限制上或者来嘛，那限制长么呢？我说是搞的呢，什么这个电子发展这个地方，
都是
不是，是吧？我老是嘛，这个去堂这个电个地方这个有啊，我电子发展这个都是没地理。梦想，知道哪么也查些在那去目前的进程限制上，把它常务是一些为了我的进程的限制上，把的就是这个地方这个包括的限制上，而且我都是去了是吧？地方定期了吧？我只是被我们讲进程，是吧？
Then the third one is so Bodhisattvas having taken the conceptions, grasping true existence together with its latencies as their main objects of abandonment. So for Bodhisattvas, their main objects of abandonment is the conception, grasping true existence together with its latencies. In other words, conceptual consciousness apprehending true existence together with its latencies. So basically, the conceptual consciousness apprehending phenomena such as aggregates as truly existent, together with its latencies, are their main objects of abandonment. Conceptual consciousness apprehending phenomena such as aggregate as truly existent, together with its latencies or predispositions, are Bodhisattva's main objects of abandonment. And when just now when I talk about solitary realizers, I talk about durations to omniscience can be divided into two, right? And the course false aspirations to omniscience is conceptual thoughts grasping that form, and the valid cognizer grasping that form to be of other substances, as it says in the previous paragraph. And here, the conceptual thoughts grasping true existence is the subtle aspirations to omniscience. And these bodhisattvas again refers to bodhisattvas trainee, and these trainees these bodhisattvas they are divided into 10 grounds, right? And 5 path, 10 grounds. So then to 10 grounds. So this bodhisattvas trainee refers to those bodhisattvas who are on the path, who are on the Solamba, Jolamba, Lamba, dan Lamba. Ini di Satya Bapadura.
这些人嘛，对吧？是他们对吧
Milolam de Yomaro, Milolam de Yangshu.
我们上面我同意。
Di Satya Bapadura. So yeah, so those bodhisattvas trainees refer to those bodhisattvas on the path of accumulation, preparation, path of seeing and meditations. And basically those bodhisattvas up to 10 grounds are called a bodhisattva trainee. So first moment of end of continuum, and they are still a bodhisattva trainee. And the second moment onwards, and then they become then they achieve the Mahayana path of no more learning.
那常识不能就关于到第七年把这地方就你明白了哈，我想做可能，但全场就里面都给到的可能，就那里面都给到的，我是怎么去？你是吧？对他们点不对，是吧？里面都给到的，我是多些的，你看的，我觉得多的，我说的，你说，我是的，是的，我实际上我是的，我打的嘛，我。
당연히 이제 균타 이기 당보이나 데 당류 장생 파바 장생 로바로와 균타 균타 파도라 데 균타 깨지 또이나 균타네 이신이와. Yeah, so up to the end, so for those bodhisattvas trainees, so basically those bodhisattvas were training on the 4 paths and also 10 grounds, and then even up to the end of continuum. So those bodhisattvas are called bodhisattva trainees. So the second moment onwards, after the end of continuum, then they achieve the Mahayana path of no more learning, Mahayana enlightenment, and in other words, they achieve the state of enlightenment.
那刚才讲的是嘛的，那刚才我家做的，那你把这样的情况去，我家做的，理解，是吧？是感觉的，老是去看，我家做的，当没得多，你当没得。我那里是说是没什么情况，是吧？
所以他没了。That's all. So I forgot to mention just now, in order to abandon their main objects of abandonment and in order to achieve their main objects of attainment, the antidotes or path they need to cultivate or meditate on is the view, realizing that all phenomena are without true existence. In other words, all phenomena lack true existence. So their main objects of abandonment is the true grasping, and their main objects of attainment is Mahayana enlightenment, or the great enlightenment as mentioned on the text. And their main objects of meditation is the selflessness of phenomena.
那是我看到，我家做什么的？我家做什么？我家做什么？做了多，是没关系的，对，我清白了，你的嘛，也可以做。
And as I mentioned just now, when I explain this, then I use the word main objects of abandonment, main objects of meditation, main objects of attainment. There is a purpose why the word main is used.
那么根据这个话，你把修的嘛，说当你根据对不对？我家做的呗，是么这个问题，都把这关于做的也是写了多啊，也是了多啊。 나한테 본자 좀 되레스 너비한 주체를 가르래.
연표이나 랑기 나기.
다 그게 왔다 뭐 이게 지금 와. 이렇게 소리. 이렇게 소리. 본자 좀 본자 좀 완전히 지금만 봐. 그게 이런 거. 본자 좀 얘기 지우야 돼. 그래서 와. 완전히 본자 좀 얘기 지우야 돼. 그래서 이렇게 소리. 본자 좀 얘기 지우야 돼. 그래서 얘기 뭐야. 얘기 뭐라 될 쳐봐라. 봐라. 완전 좀 됐었어. 이래서 같이做的 그렇지 지금 做的 차리겠어. 신이 말해서 이게 做的 와 이것이 자기들 터봐라. 와 이게 做的 내가 같이 지금 做 수레서 지금 수도 그래서 봐 같이 지금 做的 그래. 뭐가 이게 자기 터도 말해. 이게 자기 속에 그냥 시기대 한번에서 빡 오더라. 그래서 저 우리가 먼저 빡 오더라. 언제 잘 거나지 빨리 해내라. 그냥 빨리 하고 알았으니까.
랑기디.
이게 그리고 시기 번째 또 지금 말했어. 시기 번째 또 지금 말해. 많이 알아내서 혼자 또는 이 장주에 나 빠질 지게做的 年轻的 시기 말했어. 와 이런 빠질 지게 做的 지금 시기 말했어. 빠질 지게 做的 왜냐면 이게 시작부터 보여 봐라. 이래서做的个就是第二个
시기 방고리네 랑게 조 많이.
这个是
같이 조 많이.
从小做的 그렇게 다 됐어. 자주 되게 빠질做的 年龄嘛 시기 말했어.
So the purpose of saying or using the words main in relation to these three terms of main objects of abandonment, main objects of meditation, and main objects of attainment, the purpose is this. The purpose is this. So for hearers, their main objects of abandonment is, as it says, a conceptual consciousness grasping a self-supporting or substantially existent person, right? In other words, native obscurations. And their main object of attainment is hearers' enlightenment. In order to attain hearers' enlightenment, that which mainly obscures the attainment is objective obscurations, not obscurations to omniscience. If this main obstacle, which is the native afflictive obscuration, is not abandoned, they are unable to attain their main object of attainment, which is hearers' enlightenment. So, for hearers, do they need to abandon obscurations to omniscience or not? Yes, they need to, but that is not their main objects of abandonment. Because in order to achieve their main objects of attainment, obscurations to omniscience is not the main obstacles. So therefore, the word main is used in relation to these three key points.
내가 마치 얘기를 넣어버렸어. 원샷 쓰고도 가르쳐서 아까 그 제시들 때문에 또 강사가 다른 데서 오라. 강사가 다음에 원샷 쓰고. 원샷 쓰고도 강사가 다음에 데서 쓰고 거야. 이게 넣어봤지. 혹시 다른 거 또만 뭐 하시라고 했어. 못 그래도 뭐 또 넣었어. 와. 오늘 공부를 오해했어. 근데 뭐 쓰고 나한테 리뷰에서 말이 했어. 가르치는 말에서 또한 되게 모자 쏘고 쓰고만 같이 쓰고만 이게 몇 병이 더 봐라 더 봐라 같이 쓰고다 강사 단지들이 강사를 단지 차려야지 같이 지금做的 강사를 단지 쓰다 이게 내부 같이 또 내가 이래 말아 말해서 이들은 이름을 또 이름이 싫어와 이게 말이에요 그러면 카드 내부 과연 이것도 뭐야? 강사를 단지되기 내부 쪽도 가고 것은 강사를 당해. 다음에 강사를 남을 하거나 또 강사를 남고 그랬어. 야,
카드 내부
카드 내부 때문에 어디 때문에 그래서 그냥 데뷔 쪽에 또막 공부해서 공부를 되거나 간사기 당직 내모 카드 누구야 말.
우리
간사기 당직 내모 카드 누구야 말. 저희 다음에 편하게 예배 공부 니들 로만 예배 공부해서 열어 보라. 아이고 고소 대박가 해봐. 예배 공부해서 공부 열어 되냐. 예 먼저 做 지금만 가르침 지금 무슨 거기 내모 방자 做 간사기 당직에 방자 做 지금 들 카드 내모 간사기 당직 간사기 당직 먹고 봐도 코 카드 내 동요 봤어. 내모도 동요 봤어. 동요 봤어. 어제 나 동서도 같이 비랑게 연가 배봐 공부해서 비랑게 동문 공부해서 공부했어. 공부해야 되겠다. 공부가 做 지금 맞지. 같이 지세가서 그러게 더샤 공부다. 우리가 또 스스로 띵년보자 하고 있어. 이르다.
And for hearers, their main objects of meditation is selflessness of person, right? And so do hearers need to meditate on the selflessness of phenomena or not, which is that all phenomena are empty of true existence? Sorry, all phenomena lack true existence. Do hearers need to meditate on this or not? Yes, hearers, they need to meditate on selflessness of phenomena as well. However, this is not their main object of meditations. So again, it depends on their main objects of attainment and also main object of abandonment as well. So for hearers, their main objects of attainment is the hearers of normal learning. And that which mainly obscures the attainment is the self-grasping of person. So in order to apply a direct antidote to these self-graspings of person, which is their main obstacles, they need to meditate on selflessness of person. That's why the word main is used.
히트 빠지지게 예지지 보는 거야. 지게 또 히트 레벨 그다음에 멤버 두 가지 댄스 레벨에서 내 말이었어. 이 빠지지게 또 말이었어. 와, 말이 빠지지게 또 쓰는 가사를 가지게 됐어. 가사를 가지게 빠지지게 또 있으나 예쁘나 그때게 예쁘나 좀 갖고 그래서 가사를 남을 때 봤다. 와, 얘는 예쁘 가지고 가사를 남을 때 봤다. 대고 그래 봐도 그 같은 모든 예물 행해 봐도 어 최단지 내가 좋아 데미데 고나 그 카드 내고 놓으세요 카드디 내모는 뭐 보여
간사기 당신들이 방금
그걸 당시대 맞아 당시 그렇고 카드에 있자고 내모 어디 아 담보 위해서 노가 이 주제가 얘들로 가는데 전자 쪽으로 가서 얘들이 전주 들어와 얘 터봐라 아직 지금 또 누가 가르방 것은 얘기들이 있을 거다 당이 얘들 얘기게 뻥발라 그 카드짜리 내모 또 가르해서 이제는 안 돼. 네. 그래서 제가시.
간사기 당신들이랑 연주가
어디 있어요?
어디지 주당지들 대매들 공리 그래서 간사기 당신 연주들 그때 방송이 말아. 방송이 말아.
이거 그 화차 내모 들어서 걸려.
Yeah, so to summarize all of this, and it's for us to easily remember in our mind. So for hearers training, their main objects of attainment is to attain hearers of normal learning, and their main obstacles or the main objects of abandonment is the afflictive obscurations. In other words, self-graspings of person. So if someone asks you, is obscurations to omniscience the main obstacle or main objects of abandonment for hearers or not? Then the answer is no. So another way of asking these questions can be, is grasping all phenomena as truly existence the main obstacle or the main objects of abandonment for hearers or not? Again, the answer is no. So the obscurations to omniscience, in other words for this, another word for this can be grasping all phenomena as truly existent. So these obscurations to omniscience or grasping all phenomena as truly existent is not the main obstacle, nor the main object of abandonment for hearers. So because if as a duty, and do hearers need to meditate on substances of phenomena or not? Yes, they need to meditate on this. However, these all phenomena lack true existence. Do they need to meditate on all phenomena lack true existence or not? So even though they need to meditate on these phenomena lack true existence, however, this is not their main objects of meditations. Because in order to abandon their main obstacle, they need to cultivate the direct antidotes. The direct antidote is view realizing the selflessness of person. So only by cultivating this view realizing selflessness of person, it will become the it will become the direct antidote to eliminate the afflictive obscurations or self-graspings of person. So even though if they meditate on the point that meditate on all phenomena lack true existence, these will not become direct antidotes to their main obstacles or main objects of abandonment. In other way of saying this is, this meditation or the view realizing these cannot eliminate their main obstacle. So their main paths or main antidotes is view realizing selflessness of person. So in short, main object of attainment is hearer's path of no more learning. Main obstacle is afflictive obscurations or self-graspings of person. Their main path or main antidote to be cultivated is view realizing selflessness of person. So, and these explanations apply to the rest, solitary realizers and bodhisattvas as well. So, there's a special point that I need to mention here is in relation to solitary realizers. So, solitary realizers trainee, their main objects of attainment is the solitary realizers enlightenment, right? And their main objects of abandonment is, as mentioned on the text, the conceptions grasping that form and the very cognizer grasping that form to be of other substances. So when they cultivate the main objects of meditations or the antidotes to abandon these main objects of abandonment, this abandonment, solitary realizers, trainees' main objects of abandonment, as mentioned on the text, is also forced obscurations to omniscience. So when they cultivate the main objects of meditations or the antidotes to abandon their main objects of abandonment, which is the coarse obscurations, omniscience, when it is abandoned, at the same time, afflictive obscurations are abandoned as well. So when this conception grasping that a form up to here is their main object of abandonment, right? And it is a forced obscurations to omniscience. When they cultivate the main objects of meditations to abandon these, and when this is abandoned, and this is the course obscurations to omniscience. When this is abandoned, at the same time, afflictive obscurations are abandoned as well. They do not need to again apply the antidotes to eliminate the afflictive obscurations anymore, because when they abandon these, the course obscurations to omniscience at the same time. Wi-Fi di wo yi bi ju ta na ya ni di di Wi-Fi di bi ju ko wi do on da di so
da ji ni da da picture da fondo no shita symbol ji ka sa change symbol no no ni yo wa an ko de ji la ma chu de da ti ko ba ya to tsari de da ji ko ba to tsari shin de ba ji so na shu ni so na jo ni ri ba no ke ji ro wa wa di da ba ko no ji de ba ke mo na so na ya shu no ke so ni ji ba sa wa不你的，就是讲不那个放菜嘛，放菜了吧？
对，可是研究给人很不得熟悉，毕竟研究给大众吧，大众美国方面的方面了。
搞我去的，
哦，
这搞我去的，在学的，就是呢，把这个把头，做出来去年就把吃不了，我上嘛就把弄了吧。
得土壤得熟悉。
可能从那学的，可能你个你这的就是讲把那个放菜了吧？
让业的蛮多的。
正常是放菜了吧？正常是放菜了吧？这就把头，你这就是恐怕这个，你这汽车把那个放上了吧？放在里头，这个从哪来去的吧？
原地堂，是的那个。
哦，你那个是那个放上了啊？
是的，这八点。
哦，对，放上了吧？你这把基本上来去的吧？他基本上来呀，去的的，啊，或者西的关系做些啊，西的关系做的吧？是吧？那西的关系做的。有的帮助的，有的关系呀，这样子的，他或者被帮下做的，西的嘛都，像什么帮下做的，西的嘛都没有嘛啊。
西的样的差不多了。
哦，但西的我的，但去了电视的，当初没听过来西的，那可能呀，让是差了好些。比方你点不多，你电视的，那电视帮下这个关系做些么？那你帮人嘛是吧？比方你点不多，你电视的对帮下的结果的，那像什么你呀，是他关系做多的结果是吧？关系做对起的，或者搞了关系做些个，这样的地方明白，这个关系做些个吧，关系做这样的地方，里面关系做些个吧，我的清楚的呀。
红的就是啦，那边呢，之前呢，讲的什么呢？你唐波电研究给咱们熟悉，你电研究给大众吧，大众美国方的通呢，你的是呢，提前给咱们学的话，咱们熟悉，那主要是，你的。的提醒咱们的书呢，的写的当然了的准备日期
吧。你光做那小的什么了嘛？当我的就是看到了嘛，你别看到这当我的就是啊，你这个怎么说？
研究给大众吧。
我的这个情况，我把他在的四个国啊，上年对吧？就让我学了吧？对吧？就让学了吧？你这对吧？就让我学的过年光彩嘛？你从哪里来的？你从哪里过年的光彩的吧？你光彩的，大部分国家做到现在，你光彩做了吧？不西的光做行了。他西的光把它做，他是这样的话的，这个不是
So, for example, a bodhisattva can be first entered the path of a hearer's path, and then they achieve the hearer's arahaship, and then only then they enter the Mahayana path. So when they enter the Mahayana path, they have already abandoned afflictive obscurations, right? So when they are on the path of hearers, they have already achieved the path of, they have already achieved the hearers arahantship. So they have already abandoned afflictive obscurations. So when they entered the Mahayana path, first entered the Mahayana path, they have already abandoned afflictive obscurations. So what they need to put effort in is to abandon obscurations to omniscience, which is grasping all phenomena as truly existent. And their main object of meditation is develop the view, realizing that all phenomena lack true existence, lack of true existence. So this is for scenario, first scenario.
So that changes symbol and okay. Changes symbol ya so la shu no ke. A ni ji da so la de so la ji ma shu ba ji. Abu khatu ya ji ba ji so la shu no ke ji lo. Lo khatu no ke.
Khatu ji shen ji so la.
O ji so la shu no ke. Na de ni ji so la shu no ke ga da de ni a ni ji pa ya ma ga ke pa ya ma na ho. O ga ke pa ya ma wa. A ga ke pa ya ma de ni ji so la shu no ke. A ko pa ja so ka ji ne shi di na pa shi so ji. Shi di pa shi so shi di pa de 셔라 냠다 유리만 시디서 냠도 배 관자서 다소소소 관자리 뭐 여러 하라시게 이 냠도 거 다고 뉘 당고 되게 상황을 주는 게 진짜 뉘지데 키티니까 간다 서치바로 가만 맞아 야 이거 다가라 뉘지 이거 시디 이거 서치바 아마 이 상황이라 또 동반이 보고게 오니 보고게 시디데 뉘지니까 진짜 많아 와 냠도 많아
사주 봐도 왜는 유리랑 시리가 요요.
네가 열어와. 혼자做的 가르치면 이게 저주스럽고 혼자 做的 바로 지고. 동반이네. 와. 우리 고시 做지. 혼자 做的 시리상 또 관做 지고. 이 시리 본데 유리들이 결혼하는 거예요.
사주 봐도 왜는 유리랑 시리는 네가 방 요마네. 와이디 양자디 님보디 공니.
essa tipo que camada 뉴디 가는 뉴디 근데 보내때 양샤처럼 같이 시리시는 보내 이 이지 님바들다 바로와
왜 공내기들
시디 님보
시리
님보 보내 시디 때자 님보 보내 때 기디 님바들다 산지고 맡은 거였어 산지고 맡아봐도 시디 님가 봐 디디라
공내 이 디시디는 뉴디 디케지라
님바들라 기지님발 사실 뭐가
주념 라인에 대방이라
그냥
시리다
시티니까 우리니까
주념도 방 기지니바 상계 이거 갖고
사실 공부 토마다 시티데 이게 너무 기념하다 그러니까 그냥 기념 사실 공부 토마다 되니까 그냥 뭐 네. 그렇게 지금 올라가 봐 지내서
윤디 And this is the first scenario, right? A bodhisattva who first entered the of hearers. Then another scenario is a bodhisattva who entered because I did讲出 sembar에 가도 대신기 초람도 강사로 나라 마시게네요.
마시게나 진짜 마시겠다. 같이 담고 지금 뭐지? 너랑 그래요. 뭐지? 그거 소화를 이렇게 들어와. 그렇게 받지 뭐 전화 들어왔잖아. 전화 들어왔잖아. 근데 집이 개뻔요 말. 개뻔요. 완전 좋은 시리랑 지고 가는 거지.
Okay, so the first scenario also referred to those bodhisattvas who entered the Mahayana path after they have gone through the path of hearers, for example. Another scenario is a person who have not entered any path, and they when they first enter the path, they enter the Mahayana path directly. So when these persons, their main, these people, they have not abandoned afflictive obscurations. So it's unlike the first scenario. So these people who who first entered the path and they entered the path of Mahayana, then they have not abandoned afflictive obscurations. So their main objects of abandonment is still the obscurations to omniscience. So when they put effort and cultivate the antidotes to abandon the obscurations to omniscience, at the same time, afflictive obscurations are abandoned. So when they are on the path and then they practice an up to 10th ground. So And up to 10th ground, they still have afflictive obscurations and obscurations to omniscience. They still have this. Even up to 10th ground, they still have this. They have not abandoned it. So when they are at the end of the 10th ground, so then they cultivate the antidotes. Yeah, they cultivate the antidotes to abandon the obscurations to omniscience. So the abandonment of obscurations to omniscience and afflictive obscurations are at the same time, simultaneous. And this happens simultaneously with the achievement of enlightenment as well, the state of enlightenment. So abandonment of afflictive obscurations and obscurations to omniscience are simultaneous. And abandonment of these two obscurations happens simultaneously with the achievement of enlightenment as well. Yeah, so these are the explanations for Yogacara Spadadika and also the general explanations on Spadadika. And then next I'm going to talk about Sautrantika Spadadika Madhyamaka. So according to the Sautrantika Spadadika Madhyamaka, there is no difference between hearers and solitary realizers regarding their main objects of abandonment and main objects of meditations. Yeah, because both are alike in taking afflictive obscurations as their main objects of abandonment and also in taking selflessness of persons as their main objects of meditation. Yeah, so Sautrantika Spadadika asserts differently from the Yogacara Spadadika Madhyamaka, right? So as you see on the text, so for Yogacara Spadadika Madhyamaka, they assert differently the main objects of abandonment and also main objects of meditation for hearers and solitary realizers individually. However, for Sautrantika Spadadika Madhyamaka, they assert the same for hearers and solitary realizers. So their main objects of abandonment is afflictive obscurations. Another way of saying this is self-grasping of person as their main objects of abandonment, and also in taking selflessness of person as their main objects of meditations. So do assert external objects. Do assert external objects. Therefore, yang get internet connection yang get tempo itu. Yeah. So since Svadhyamaka, Madhyamaka, they assert external objects. Therefore, there is no different objects of abandonment for solitary realizers, which is as asserted by Yogacara, Svadhyamaka, Madhyamaka. For Yogacara, Svadhyamaka, Madhyamaka, they assert these conceptual thoughts or conceptual consciousness apprehending form and the valid cognizer apprehending that form to be of a different substantial entity, right? So since they do assert external objects, therefore this is not an object of abandonment. Since this is not an object of abandonment, therefore there is no need to cultivate different objects of meditation to abandon these objects of abandonment. So, however, there is a reason why the two have different results, inferior and superior, is because they are differences due to the size of their collections of merit and the length of time they spend accumulating merit. So even though for Sautrantika, Svadhyamaka, Madhyamaka, their hearers and solitary realizers, their main objects of abandonment and objects of meditations are not different. However, if someone were to ask, is their results, is the achievement of their results different in terms of superiority or not? Then the answer is yes. There is a different, they attain a different degree of results. One is superior to the other. So it is because due to the size of the collections of their merit and the length of time they spend accumulating merit, and because of these factors, the attainment of their results, they attain different results, one superior to the other. So here is solitary realizers, they spend 3 lifetimes and more to accumulate merit. And for solitary realizers, they spend 8 eons and more to accumulate merits. So because of this, therefore, the results they achieve are different. For solitary realizers, our results is superior to the hearers. So the Svadhyamikas are similar to the Chittamatrins in asserting 2 kinds of sutras, Mahayana and Hinayana, and 2 parts of sutras, definitive and interpretable. So, however, the illustrations are different because the Chittamatrins assert the first 2 wheels as sutras of interpretable meaning and the last wheel as sutras of definitive meaning.
나 세자비 고로 당보도 장비 좀. 세자비 고로 당보. 당보니와 이거 고로 담아데 우리도 예스로. 아, 고로 당보다 당보니까 사 장비 예스. 고로 심화스다 고로 담아도 와. 고로 담아데 게도 딱 코세가 고로 담아도 또 이제 같이 가서 세리스 맞아도 지시해서 와. 고로 담아디 세리스 맞아요 와.希望有个归大上对这些运动啊，但希望有的你让你亲戚对吧？的，归到起来对面电吧，也是，那可能可能他们的七个心，但是面对都是七个习惯。
希望同用具那啲讓佢親意做，
因為佢讓自己做得，歸到起來對面，
點咩？
點吧
明
白，你七個心對面，我看到那都是可能他們的運動也是的。
그걸로 본이 돼요. 그걸로 담보 담바바니 돼. 단도행기 도로. Yeah. So Svatantika are similar to the Chitta Matrins in asserting that two sutras can be divided into Mahayana and Hinayana, and sutra can be also divided into definitive and also interpretable as well. So, however, the illustrations are different because Chitta Matrins assert the first two wheels as sutra of interpretable meaning. So, the first, when we talk about three wheels, the first one is called first wheel, and the middle wheel, and the last wheel. So, the first two wheels refer to first wheel and middle wheel. So, these two wheels are sutras of interpretable meaning, and the last wheel as sutra of definitive meaning. So because for Chitta Matrin, they have these presentations of three natures, right? Presentations of three natures or three characters. And for them, other powered and thoroughly established are established by way of its own character, and they assert differently for the imputed or imputational nature or character as lack of true existence.
像我说的，到了就平面运动的第几运动是到了平面运动的第几运动你写过吧？平面运动是呢，典型的就是在做行为，
天命
我写
天命运动，
天命运动，典型的就是做行的点位，题目问题，题目问题多少？典型的就是做行多吧？题目问题多。那刚才各当典型情况的，各情况的，各当典型情况的，题目运动，光当不得吧？ 그거 담아 대시 친구들 이미지도 얘 가르치는 것은 연바식 문제 지지 조금씩 되게 팀원이 그거 했어. 와. 어디? 그 팀도 대시 문제 지지 조금씩 되게 팀원이 그거서.
So and the first wheel is also called the wheel of Dharma of Four Noble Truths. So and this wheel of Dharma or Four Noble Truths refer to the sutra as a refer to the sutra of Four Noble Truths. So those các thằng bôi nó thì電視錯嘅，呢啲電視錯過嗰啲電視嘅多咗嘅。
哦，電視錯過嘅得。
電視嘅多咗。
電視嘅多是咩？
天命嘅多。Yeah. Sorry, I messed up just now. So the first wheel is also called the wheel of Dharma of Four Noble Truths, and the wheel of Dharma of Four Noble Truths are the Hinayana Sutra. So Hinayana Sutra basically are those sutras that mainly express their subject matter. They mainly express the Four Noble Truths as their subject matter. In other words, is their main subject matter or main object of expression is Four Noble Truths. So those sutras are Hinayana Sutra.
그대로 어디 거다 제시의 취지 고려도 다 무엇을 팀이도 너들의 취지 고려도 취지 고려도
비가리의
제시 팀이도 생기
팀ing도
생기 고려도 다
대시에
고려도
Did you know it?
요 다들 주도 뭐 있어.
생시대.
뭐 다들 재미도 되시. 우리 간다시는 재미도 될까 하면 되게 주고 되는 거데. 이 재미도 예스와. 나 뒤지지도 돼 돈이 지지 쏘시는 거.
지식이도 돼?
돈이 지지 쏘시는 때문에 다 걸어 봐봐 되겠다. 걸어 봐봐 뒤지 뭐만 돈. 걸어 봐봐 뒤지 규모만 돈. 예스.
생시대에 약속으로 나게.
돈이 지지 스니들. 돈이 지지 쏘시는 때문에 지 규모만 돈. 걸어 봐봐 지지.
맞아, 내 태민기도 이 생시대 양경.
좀 걸린다. 이거 걸린.
수기 콜을 콜로 수기 콜로 하고 수기 콜로도 하고. And the illustration for Hinayana Sutra is Sutra of Wheel of Dharma. So illustration for Hinayana Sutra, such as Sutra of Wheel of Dharma. So this is illustration for Hinayana Sutra. And for the second wheel, which is also called a middle wheel. So these are those sutras are Mahayana sutras. So Mahayana sutras are those sutras whose main subject matter is emptiness, whose main objects of expression or whose subject matter is emptiness. So those sutra that mainly talks about it is Sutra, Mahayana Sutra, the middle wheel.
뭐지? 나한테는 돈이 어디? 팀에서도 뒤지지도 팀에 돈이 있는 거. 아 뒤지지도 쓰는 맛을 받아. 콜로 봐봐대. 콜로 봐봐 뒤팀어 말도 했어. 콜로 봐봐요. 나도 이제 팀에도 콜로 당고 님봐. 중고 당고 좋아. 콜로 당고 중고 당고도 내게 지소신 팀도 아까 중고 당고 가서 와. 이 콜로 팀에도 좋아. 나 콜로 봐봐대. 나 뒤도 나 간다대 콜로 봐봐대 뒤팀어 말도 있습니다. 이 내가 생이데 본인이 지소신 팀이 거스 팀어 말도 있어.
대신 너무 많이
본인이 지소신 팀도 돼. 콜로 밥이 생이래. 바티. 와, 나한테 지지 말해. 지지 뭐. 본인이 지지 소신에 때문에 이 규모만 이거도. 콜로 밥이 생이라고 하죠.
콜로 밥이 생이.
콜로 밥이 생이. 어떤 콜로 밥이 지지 돌아와. 뭐 콜로 밥한테 간지 그러나 본인이 지지 소신 우리 모르겠어. 본인이 지지 소신 때문에
되게 더
뭐 지지
규모 많이 배도.
나 콜로 밥한테 지지 규모만 이거 해서. 그렇지. 콜로 밥한테 이거 맞지? 규모만.
Yeah, so we have already talked about two wheels, right? So the first wheel refers to those sutra whose main objects of expression is Four Noble Truths, and those are Hinayana sutras, and also the first wheel. And the second wheel refers to those Mahayana sutras whose main objects of expressions is emptiness. So they mainly talks about emptiness, and those Mahayana sutras are the second wheel. And these, not only that they are the Mahayana sutras, and they are the uncommon Mahayana sutras. So the uncommon Mahayana sutras that mainly express emptiness is the definitions of the middle wheel. And this middle wheel can be divided into two: Sutra of interpretable meaning and Sutra of definitive meaning. So Sutra of interpretable meaning for Svadantika, the example is Heart Sutra. So Heart Sutra for Svadantika Madhyamaka is a sutra of interpretable meaning. And the three mothers, the extensive, middling, and short. So the three mothers sutra are the sutras of definitive meaning, or Svadantika Madhyamaka.
이 제발 가서는 와도 단주에 가서 주사를 현재 뭐가 단주 이런 거 단주 맹대시도 차대로 와 단주를 내리는다 단주에 장대도 되니 제발 자사 뭐 하자 자 현재 뭐 단주하고 현재 뭐 맹대시도 있어야 되는 맹대시도 수수 가르쳐고 단주 본인이 지시 조시 있는 거데 맹대시도 해서 본인이 지시 조시 있는 거데 맹대시도 해서 단주하고 단주하고 저는 뭐 맹대시도 해서 너무 이제 가르치나 기름님은 돈이 주소 오신 거예요. 해상이 맹대시도 해서 바로 안지가 되가 에펙티브.
Yeah. So, however, for Prasangika Madhyamaka, they regard Sutra as a sutra of definitive meaning. So the reason why Prasangika assert Sutra as a sutra of definitive meaning is because it is a sutra that mainly expresses emptiness. It is a sutra that mainly expresses emptiness. Because of this, by this reason alone, Prasangika Madhyamaka regard Sutra as a sutra of definitive meaning.
그런데 단주는 기름님 뭐 이거 동안 바로 안지박에 본인이 이제 또 제법은 많이 봐. 본인이 지수 오시는 때에 그 지기도 키워놓고 있는 거지. 지기도 키워놓고 있는 거지. 와,
같이
본인이 지수 오시는 또 때에 그 지기도 키워놓고 있는 거지. 그 지기도 키워놓고 있는 거가 다 그렇게 되었어.
Selang Rungwi.
그 지기도 지수 오시는 때에 그 지기도 키워놓고 있는 거지.
And for Svadantika Madhyamaka, for a sutra to be a sutra of definitive meaning, so not only that it must be a sutra that mainly expresses emptiness, and on top of that, it must be a sutra that is suitable to be accepted literally. So it must have these two qualities. The two qualities or qualifications are not only that it must be a sutra, mainly it talks about emptiness, and it must be a sutra that is suitable to be accepted literally. So having these two qualifications are sutra of definitive meaning.
그래서는 아주 깊이 성당으로 런지방이 기름님보다 장비도 해서 너가 기치가서 내가 지기도 키워도 모르는 거 해서 본인이 이제 제주도 시그리 되기나 내가 지기도 키워도 모르는 거 해서 그래서나 가져다 대단히 제가 자요 말해서 기름 어디 내가 지기도 이 소바나시 내가 지기만 말해서 숨내가 말은 내가 말해 내가 숨에 내가 짐에서 뭔가 tanju하다 안티바니 공부가 되다 마시고 뭔가 되다 와 근데 가져다 된다 제가 잡고 있어 가져다 된다 제가 맞아서 내가 지기도 키워도 모르는 거 찾아서 와 이 수다 당대 신도리 예스 다 맨대신도 이상 잡기도 키워도 모르는 내가 지기를 가지고 있으나 다음에 가져다 소랑비 대파도 내가 주 야 된거 내가 제가 자고를 되죠. 그거와 어떻게 싶다. 와, 나랑 찍어 주는 거는 이게 좀 이렇게서 나오기 이제 자기가 키워도 너무 아쉽는데. 좀더 말이 좀 말이 왔고.
So as I mentioned just now, for Svadantika Madhyamaka, they do not regard Sutra as a sutra of definitive meaning, which is different from Sangika. So for Svadantika Madhyamaka, they regard Sutra as a sutra of interpretable meaning. So because it doesn't fulfill the second qualification, which is to be accepted, suitable to be accepted literally. So in the Heart Sutra, as we learned before, then I'll say like for example, no form, no sound, no smell, etc. Right? So in Heart Sutra, it says no form. So this no form is not suitable to be studied literally. So for Svatantika Madhyamika. So because form form is not non-existent, right? Another way of saying this is form exists, right? Form is not non-existent, right? So therefore, this no form cannot be accepted. It's not suitable to be accepted literally. Okay? And yeah, and this word no form, there is no qualification added to these words. If the words were, no truly established form, no truly established sound, then it would come suitable to be accepted literally. However, Heart Sutra, there is no such qualification, the words to qualify those. There is no words, non-truly established to qualify the words such as no form. In other way of saying this is, you do not see no truly established form, no truly established sound. So since there is no truly established form, then therefore it cannot be accepted literally. So since the Heart Sutra says no form, then it becomes a sutra not suitable to be accepted literally. Therefore, it is a sutra of interpretable meaning.
가져 대다 제가 이제 줌에 잠에서 kumbo 대다 자랑 20도 남아 양다가 지스타고 서서 와
kumbo 대다
자랑 20도 봐 20도 남아 양다가 지스타고 다른마 정말 내가 예스
kumbo 대다 그냥
kumbo 대다 장 20도 남아 양다가 지스타고 kumbo 가서 20도 서서 와
kumbo 대다 그냥 동바
kumbo 남아 지스타고 지와 kumbo가 뭐 20도 와서 말라서리 제일마 대가로마 자레마도 뒤에 내가 대가로 그래서 가자 치마 대가로 자차 있어 뭐 거를 진골마 뭔가 대다 자랑 이또만 나와 양다 가지 싸워도 그거 그러니까 이거 뭐야 좋아하지 말 해서 좀 쉬워 원래는 근데 좀 그걸마 대가로 자차 있어 가자 치마 대다 내가 정말 많이 좋아하다 정말 대가로 자차 있어 근데 내가 정말 가자 대다 치마 자차 있어 굉장히 더 예스. 어디라 어떻게 시. 다른 집밖에 대잡을 쓰는 거라. 이거 저도 와서 난 추가 깨도 그러나 집밖에 나기 누가 그런 거 아니 집에 또 말했을 거라. 이거
내 맞도 와요.
그때 먼저 먼저 하는 거 이거 그렇지.
Yeah, so Svatantika Madhyamika they interpret differently from Prasangika. For Prasangika, they regard Heart Sutra as a sutra of definitive meaning. So for Prasangika, they say that when we read the Heart Sutras and there's the questions and there's also an answer, right? So the answer, the condensed version of it is you should correctly see that those 5 aggregates as empty of inherent existence. So when it says in this answer, it says that even those 5 aggregates as empty of inherent existence, right? So it has already the qualifications of non-inherently existent. This qualification has already applied to the rest of the answers. The rest of the answers includes no form, no sound, no smell, etc. So because of this, because of this, since the qualification has already applied to the rest of the answers, therefore it is a sutra of definitive meaning. So when I explain the Heart Sutra, I talk about the answers is of 2 different types. It's of 2 types. One is the summarized or the condensed version. Another one is the extensive answer. So this that particular answer that I mentioned, that particular words that I mentioned just now regarding that you should correctly see those parts like this as also empty of inherent existence is in the condensed part of the answer.
好，大家好过这个，日本学的那个当地很多人，很多没得很多人是呢，这前边的那个具体怎么写个是好过这个吧，是写个记得连好差不多，让这些解是吧？然后这个当地很多人，在长久面对很多人，那你肯定是倒把山了，吧？你这么谈到的写法呢，倒把那个地写法好过吧？
So then you should understand the reason why Svatantika Madhyamaka and Prasangika Madhyamaka asserts or regards Hasutra differently. For Svatantika Madhyamaka, they regard Hasutra as a sutra of interpretable meaning. Prasangika Madhyamaka, they assert Hasutra as a sutra of definitive meaning. So if you understand the reason which I explained just now, then it will be very clear that why they assert in their particular way.
那你可能老是平常的考虑多，好像现在全部教完了你的很多，你到马教完了场地很多，在哪些个修的，是吧？好像在全部教完了场地很多的也是，是吧？那你的很多的，反正屋里面去继续做些地方，不要积极的看到很多的，是吧？屋里面去继续做些，不要去看到很多的，那你的很多的成绩，是吧？屋里面，我的你的很多的成绩也是。 好像在去不教的那个，给到马上有，除了台湾的本地多少呢？也非常浓多，呀，这除了我的当地都是些人搞的话，
Yeah, so on the text it also says, right, in this context of the Svatantika school, the first and last wheels are sutras of interpretable meaning, and the middle wheel has two parts, interpretable and definitive. And they assert that those sutras of the middle wheel in which the qualification ultimately is affixed to the objects of negations are of definitive meaning, and those sutras of the middle wheel in which the qualification ultimately is not affixed are sutras of interpretable meaning, such as a sutra.
About the 10 years of the cup to the Rancho Cup, the Jesus and water. But how go what you grow up? And I come to that. Follow Ondani, foundation door, yes, you are. About Tamboda, Tamako Tamadua, any foundation door. About that, we did an indignation, yes. About the founding in the knees on it. And it was all the duty to establish up. I'm going to let you know what I'm shouting. That is a walk.
So in this context, the first and last wheels are sutras of interpretable meaning, and the middle wheel has two parts, interpretable and definitive meaning. And this is in the context of the Svatantika Madhyamaka. So it refers to the assertions of Svatantika Madhyamaka. And we assert those sutras of the middle wheel in which the qualification ultimately is affixed to the object of negation are of definitive meaning, such as the three Mother Sutra, extensive, middling, and condensed or short. And those sutras of the middle wheel in which the qualification ultimately is not affixed to the object of negation are sutras of interpretable meaning, such as a sutra. And the other explanations to regard a sutra as a sutra of interpretable meaning, it can be a sutra mainly express conventional truth, or a sutra that can be, or a sutra which is suitable to be accepted literally. So either of these two becomes a sutra of interpretable meaning. So And this Heart Sutra is a sutra of definitive meaning, right? So it doesn't feel the first, it is not the first qualification, it doesn't relate to the first qualification, which is a sutra that mainly expressed conventional truths. It is not a sutra that mainly expressed conventional truths, right? Because it is a sutra that mainly expressed emptiness. So for Sapadantika Madhyamika, Heart Sutra is a sutra of interpretable meaning because it fulfills the second qualifications, because it is a sutra not suitable to be accepted literally. So because of this reason, therefore Swatantika Madhyamika regards Heart Sutra as a sutra of interpretable meaning. Sorry. Kama Jitsuma.
이다 맞아요. 그러고 당연히 뭐 내가 시에서 차차리 제일 먼저 그 런지비 이 카페에 가서 그러나 나서 이 비비는 맞지. 야야 그때 제가 진짜 타치고 맞아 다 뒤지. 그 제가 일 먹고 뒤지시는 한주에 먹고 써 있어. 그렇지 뭘 맞는 거지. 인지비 되면서 한주에 먹지가 제가 그래서 그거 뒤지시게 있어. 그래서 actually using choose instead of getting was that drink the shower. Yes, that wine.
Yeah, so we complete Svadantika Madhyamika, and next class I'm going to talk about Svadantika Madhyamikas and how they relate views with examples. Yep, so I'm going to talk about this in coming class.
Yeah,
and
just
Yeah, and next class I'm going to start talking about Prasangika Madhyamika, so identify the objects of negations and etc. So today we are going to stop here. Right? Huh? Internet was not stable. Yeah, so we're about to finish the class and the Wi-Fi also not stable already, so I'm ngam also.
Such a joy that you also Taji more DPS. It was a kind of Taji go material around GB. I have the gadget, but she was teaching is more.
No,
like a chill is in my
can't give it. I
got that. Country got him. It's my shares. At the share, some around GB was a some shares.
So if you have any questions, please save your questions, and then in next class, before I start talking about Prasangika Madhyamika, then we'll have a question and answer time allocate for this, allocate for a question and answer. And I will also talk about, how to say, the Svatantika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika differ in the identification of objects of negations. So next class, I'm going to talk about this. And also Prasangika Madhyamika.
That's all I was teaching.
And also in coming class, I'm also to recap the important points in Svatantika Madhyamika school. And if you have time, then I will talk about Prasangika Madhyamika. Yeah, so we'll stop here.
I was a kid, so the general two, the daily chief of Southern Gods in the Kenya and shopping with Java, and then I got in over to a general prison, some also came by the reason I guess to the other thing. But you know, you choose some issue to be cheap of the word Kita. Rather than more last the answer for yeah, watching ever. Studied that they was moving with work. That is some of never so part where the need to put a question. Thank you when you talk about the local box. We should remember that. 那别人比如我觉得是夸错误吧，那把它这里面的几个做的嘛呢，刚才上的是恐怕没有的对啊，我们明显吧，那个放过去。但是就这里别这个情况，后面这个事情没有的对，我们明显别在关系上啊。
We conclude with dedications. We dedicate the roots of virtue that we have accumulated, especially through these Dharma discussions, may be the complete cause for Buddha Dharma flourish and to all sentient beings to experience excellent happiness in general. In particular, we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teachings, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long with excellent health, and may all their holy wishes and enlightened activities be accomplished instantaneously and be spread in all 10 directions. And also, we dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, K.V. Lama Rinpoche, who endowed with great kindness. May the holy wishes of Rinpoche be accomplished instantaneously, and may the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned, and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the profound teachings from you again, Rinpoche. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, natural disaster such as floods, earthquakes, wildfire, forest fire, and etc. be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, and also those who suffer in the state of suffering. So may they be free from suffering as soon as possible and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. And may their life be filled with excellent happiness. And also, we dedicate these roots of virtue to those who help others, such as doctors, nurses, and those who help others financially. May they live long, with health, and may their life filled with excellent happiness, and may their good wishes be fulfilled in sentience.
那另外的话，这里是根据我强烈是在要跟我们把的第几年和第几年找到第几强，可能方面这个方面的，就是一个是我们的这个我差不多。
And with the special connections that we have with Dr. Go, and also missions is not really stable. So we also dedicate these roots of virtue to Go's father to regain health as soon as possible. Teke wa di ten dang zho wa kun la gang bian dang jie wa ji zun lo san zha wa yi ten bei ni bo rin du se jie shu sen zhou rin bo jie ma jie ba na ji gu ji jie ba nyam ma me ba yang ko ne kon du pe wa shu a wei ji da gen ba dang kun du san bo de yang de xin de de da ku ge jie su da lu jie ki wa di da dang jie ra lu bo ta wa rin bo jie ma jie ba na ji gu ji jie ba nyam ma me ba yang ko ne kon du pe wa shu Tawa Rinpoche ma ge pa na ki kyu ji ge ba nyam ba me pa yang ko ne kon du me wa jo yin jie su du ju be lang chi jie se se kan jie dian du yun cha na bi mo den zeng ga zo la se wa de so xian de lu du jo an de ben de ma lu ba ka le yun wei sang bei yi xin nu ka de su me den zeng ga zo la se wa de so du xie lu du jo ye de de se ren lang zo lo sang jia wei ya se kyu ba jie ra kai xin ge jia yu ma lu be den de me wa lu be ge le zo Even to then Rinpoche, Shedang to be Zempe Wala, Naya Mission Sube Koja, Sebe Jetsun Lama Sowade, Kadu Jungwe Koji Boki, Wete Tama Kyu to Wai, Lati to Zamba Zebe Modo Koshi Washi de Yireba. Edina Danki Senangi to Gela Fuji, Lume Tepe Yang to Sabe Zunke Tang to Jepe to New Jesu. 让为各位信仰的分到内往马路就会连接人生往的这个作业下边世界跑